Hello, it is me, Pearl, from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned in Pearl, and we are here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine inside of self, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment, and if we want to see change, we do need to shift and change the energy within, and hopefully my readings help you do just that. This is rosemary. And it smells so good. If you've never burned rosemary before, it's a great alternative to white sage since white sage is endangered. And also some people are very sensitive about it being an indigenous practice. Rosemary is for the Italians, for my stregas out there. And it smells extremely good. So if you're interested in a cleansing herb that smells very good, I highly recommend this one. So I'm going to do a special reading today. I was not here this past weekend. I did not get to do the love reading on Friday. I did not get to do a reading on Sunday for the general week ahead energy because my dad was in the hospital for his surgery. He did end up in the ICU for 4 days. He's been downgraded now to the medicine unit, so he is not in such a precarious state now, and he's doing a little bit better. So I figured I would bring you a Samhain reading using my Horror Tarot and the Disney Villains deck, and we'll just get a little bit of energy. Now for me, Samhain is my new year, so that's like my New Year's Eve, and the Wheel of the Year starts on November 1st. So I look at this reading as kind of a culmination reading. We're going to look at what we've been through, what our current energy is that we're bringing into the new year, and what to expect. So this is your special Halloween / Samhain reading, however you want to look at it. And first we're going to look at the divine masculine energy. This is the energy of the mind and the intellect. You can, of course, associate this energy with a person in your life, but it's best really if you associate it with your own energy and then look at how a person in your life might be reflecting that energy back upon you. Because obviously you have control over yourself. You don't have control over another person. At the very end, we're going to look at the energy for the overall, and oh, we got 2 cards there. Okay. We're going to look at the overall energy and the underlying energy of this next year for you. But first, let me just shuffle the feminine energy deck. This is the energy of the heart, emotion, creativity, receptivity, and intuition. And again, you can associate it with someone outside of yourself, but best to associate it with the energy within yourself. And then we'll pull some oracles at the end. Okay, so what are you bringing in from, what have you been through this past year that has left its mark upon you? Let's say, what have you been through that has left its mark upon you? For the masculine energy, we have the 7 of Wands. And for the feminine energy, we have the Page of Wands. So for the masculine energy, we're seeing this very defensive energy here with that ghoul, some kind of creepy ghoul here. Very defensive energy. And it's interesting because the Page of Wands is exciting and looking forward to something. There's a spark. There's like this creative energy. And so I think you started off the year with a feeling of excitement, anticipation for what could happen, what could come this year. Maybe it seemed like it was going to be this year that like your dreams were going to come true. We always tend to do that at the beginning of the year. And I do think that you held on to that this year. I think that served you, that you held on to that spark, that excitement, that possibility or potential. There was maybe a fresh outlook, a fresh way of seeing the year that you had this year. But I think that to a certain extent, what left its mark upon you is that you felt this excitement and anticipation, but it turned out to be a year where things kind of held, there was like a stagnancy or a stagnant energy this year. a little bit. It's like you felt like you held out this whole year for this moment for things to just kind of unfold and start to move swiftly and finally start to pick up and take off. And it didn't. It was kind of a stubborn year, but you really, really held on though. You stood your ground against your potential maybe to like sabotage yourself and relationships and connections. What I'm seeing is that what left its mark upon you this year is you feeling this kind of defensive energy come from somebody that you felt like there was going to be this new fresh start, and they kind of held, it's 1:44 when I'm saying this, they kind of held their ground and they didn't really budge or move. They continued to sort of sabotage themselves. They kept fighting against this fresh energy that you felt was here, the potential that you felt was here. They kept kind of pushing back against that. And there wasn't the movement, I think, that you expected to have this year, and it has left its mark upon you. So that's what I'm feeling has left its mark upon you. Now, what is your current energy? What has come of that feeling? So for the masculine energy, we have the Star coming out and the Wheel of Fortune. So this is a major energy that you have currently in mind right now, and big changes. And then we have the Two of Coins for the feminine energy. So this is interesting because the Two of Coins is being stuck in a cycle. The Wheel of Fortune is about finally changing things up and no longer being stuck in a cycle anymore. And the Star card is about having a wish or a dream or a hope. It is an energy of healing. There's also healing involved in that Star card, vulnerability. And I think you, okay, the first thing that's coming to me is relationships. So I think this year you had somebody that you felt this spark with, you felt this energy, and you put them up on this pedestal, and you were allowing them to make the choices in your life. You were waiting, I think, for them to make a choice or a decision, hoping that they would make a choice. You probably experienced a lot of tarot readings this year, either mine or others. Maybe you did readings this year, but you were like waiting for this energy to shift and change. And ironically, nothing was happening, because as we see here, something really just kind of stood its ground. It didn't budge for you, even though you were like doing all the things that you could possibly think to like get it to budge. And I think you've hit a point where you are fed up with that, and that's why there is this major urge for you to change. You might have had certain dreams or wishes or hopes that you thought were going to play out this year, and instead you just seem to be stuck in a loop or stuck in a cycle. And now you have a feeling that the decision or the choice for these major changes really rests within you. You're the one that actually needs to make a choice to change the dynamic. Waiting for someone else to change the dynamic has not served you. And so it's your turn now to like step up and change. And I do think that not making a decision was helping you avoid pain. But I think that you've done such a good job actually of holding on to this spirit of adventure or excitement. Being like, I think imagining a fresh start now feels better than imagining like what you always thought was going to work out. So I think you're at this point now where you're ready. You're feeling, okay, I've been stuck long enough, and I need to like shed this old skin and start fresh in a new way. So where is this going to take us for the next year? Not surprised to see it if you see my TikTok readings. The Eight of Cups and the Justice card. Okay, finally some justice here. And the Justice looks like the feminine energy walking away. So this is going towards your true calling. Now, you may have been deceived into thinking that someone else was your calling, and losing your way, losing your path. But you going home to you and what you what you love and what fills you up and what you're passionate about, that is always your true calling. It's never someone else. It's never ever someone else. You may meet someone along your journey that's meant to help you and support you along your path, but your path is always more inward rather than outward into the external, because the creation happens within us. We expand outward when we identify really the blocks and obstacles that are within and just blast them out of the way with the conviction of our beliefs. Instead of wishing and hoping, this is believing. The Justice card is balancing the scales. Something that was unfair, you're walking away from it. You're no longer going to stay there and wait for someone or something to make something fair. You are going to do what is right. You're going to do what is right by you. It is not fair to you to stay in a loop or a cycle. It is not even fair to the other people involved in that loop or cycle to stay there. You are going to set the scales right by making this action to walk away. Now, what I think is happening is, in terms of relationships or connection, somebody who was really hoping or wishing that they could change didn't make those changes, and now you're walking away from them because you are understanding that they're not capable. And it's okay. Like, you learned what you needed to learn. There's no regret here. I don't pick up on a feeling of reaction. It's not reactionary. It's not coming from a wounded energy. It may be underlining abandonment wounds that another person has, but that's not on you to solve. That's on them to work through. So I do see you moving on, going somewhere that's going to feel a lot more fulfilling over this next year. And I see things really evening out, being a lot more balanced in your life than they have been in the past, and you feeling good about it. You feeling like you did the right thing. That's definitely coming through here loud and clear. So what's really interesting is I think you're going to be very surprised this year, because the overall energy for the year is the Seven of Swords, which speaks of something unexpected happening, something happening behind the scenes when it's in a positive energy, which I am feeling overall, because it is actually coming out with the Four of Wands, which is a celebration energy. It is the energy, it can be the energy of reuniting with somebody, but it does not have to be. It's really the energy of stable and healthy foundations in your relationships, in your connections. It is definitely a solid, reliable energy. And it's a feeling that you're having. And I think your mind is going to be surprised, because I think that walking away from someone or something or behavior or an environment is kind of a scary thing to do. And there's not necessarily a clear plan or a strategy that you have in doing this. You just know that you need to change, you need to move on. This could be moving, changing location, but wherever it is that you're going, you're finally going to feel like, now I feel stable. Now I feel like I have something to celebrate. Now I feel good. And you're committed to doing this. You're also committed to walking away from anything that feels like deceitful, that feels like lies, that feels like, empty promises, anybody that could take something from you. You're walking away from even thinking that way. Having thoughts like, oh, this person is deceitful or untrustworthy. You thinking that way is not something that's happening, because you're surrounding yourself with people that celebrate you, that support you, that offer you stability. And so having this year be about, somebody not telling the truth or whatever, that's not going to be the vibe for this year. Very interesting, what is underlying this year is that Seven of Wands that made its mark upon you, right? Here it is in the head space, and it has now come into the heart space. And it's definitely giving me a sense that you have found a way. There's a path in this image. It's making me think of finding a way to have the conviction of your beliefs, to stand your ground. And the Nine of Wands, which is the completion, heading towards a completion of a time of isolation. There's this little house at the end of this path. And I think that what I'm getting is, for some of you, you're heading to your own space. If you've been living with others, you're heading to your own space that you'll be living in this next year. If you've been relying on someone else or imagining that there's going to be someone else that's going to somehow complete you or, finally help you to be able to do what it is that you feel called to do in your life, this is not a year where that is going to dominate your thoughts or your feelings. You're not going to feel at all that you can't do things on your own. This is going to be a year that you feel like you can stand on your own, which ironically I think is going to bring in a partnership that's so much more stable, solid, and reliable than you would have been able to attract in the past. I think you have done a lot of shifting of your mindset, healing your self-concept, 155 when I'm saying this, working through those limiting beliefs, obstacles, and blocks that have really made it difficult for you to branch out on your own and feel like you alone are enough. This is a year where you feel like you are enough and you have all you need. And finally, that's going to bring you that justice that you've been craving, because for as long as you were seeking it outside of yourself, you were not able to receive it. So let's get some spirit animal oracles here. It'd be great if I could pick the cards up. All right, so we are going to get a masculine spirit animal and a feminine. So the spirit animal that's going to help support and guide your mind this year. And, well, okay, your heart. For the masculine energy, we have Panther Spirit, the Reclaim Your Power card, and it is in reverse, number 44. Can't make that up. Keep seeing that over and over again. The protection message is, are you feeling shaky because you have made a bold move and have not yet seen confirmation that everything is going to work out? Or is fear holding you back? Are you afraid to act until all risk of failure has been removed? The moment when there is no risk whatsoever will never come. So follow the urging of your Panther Spirit within and look your fear in the eye. Have you ever heard the famous line, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself? Stare down your fear and it will retreat and make way for your courage to fill you head to toe. Perhaps you are afraid you can't trust the power that is rising in you, and you fear the qualities you will find within when you look deeply at why you resist the challenge before you. Every part of you, no matter how dark it may seem, has a light quality. So be bold and face it. Own the light and make peace with your shadow. Spirit trusts you, so be brave and trust yourself. So yeah, you can trust yourself to make these changes, even if it's very bold. If you have been living your life for years, and I know some of you have, expecting this relationship or this connection to work out, and I know that that's what some of you have been doing because you've been watching my content for many years, and we've all been in that energy. It can be very frightening to start to think in such a way that is, what if this connection or relationship doesn't work out and I still feel good and I still am excited and interested in life and there's still a lot for me to see and do and be and have? What if that's true? Because when we have to face that reality, then we have to look back and reflect upon the time we've wasted waiting for a change to come from some outside of ourselves. But I urge you, strongly urge you, to not look at the past with regret, because remember, the past has made its mark upon you to such an extent that now you're carrying the power. Look at how in this energy there's fear and defensiveness, and this person is standing their ground, not because of the conviction of their beliefs, but because they're afraid to do anything else, compared to the energy of this queen who is able to hold her beliefs not out of fear, but out of a position of power. So you have moved from defensive energy, or self-sabotage, because sometimes you hold a conviction that is actually harming you. Those 6 wands that are in front of you, nobody's holding those. There's nobody attacking you. And for you to keep batting them down is actually you batting the 6 of wands down, which is success or victory. So you've moved from that place. You've let this excitement, adventure, possibility of the new, this energy is what has helped you to now understand that you are not in a defensive position, you're in a power position. And that is going to change everything about the year ahead. So don't be afraid of that. For the feminine energy, we have wolf spirit, which says turn knowledge into wisdom. It is number 67. And this says, wolf spirit leads you deep into the enchanted forest. Look at this. We have so much enchanted forest vibes in this reading. Right? There's so much of this. Also, that 8 and 9 of wands is very significant to me. Or 8 of cups into that 9 of wands is significant to me because it's showing progress. Really making progress this year. So, wolf spirit leads you deep into the enchanted forest that holds the secrets to your life. Can you sense her beckoning you to follow, asking you to take all you have learned and all you are learning and make it yours? Can you integrate it all into your body, mind, and spirit? Whatever lessons you learned along the way, do not leave them unexamined. Be loyal to your dreams, to your soul, and to turning knowledge into wisdom and experience into magic. You are the one you are the one you have been waiting for. Be still and know that the sound of your heart beats in harmony with the whole world. The appearance of wolf spirit is an auspicious omen that says you are truly in alignment with your destiny. So, very interesting. We got lone animals. The wolf, the panther, these are animals that are, the wolf is a pack animal, but the wolf also goes off on its own. And it's an important balance that there is in the wolf community to be able to go be in connection in a pack, but also brave the woods by itself, brave the enchanted forest, so to speak. And let's get our seasons of the witch cards for masculine and feminine energy to close out this reading. This is my Samhain oracle that I have. I would like to get all of them. When I went to Salem, they had this display in one of the shops I like to go to that showed all of these decks. And not gonna lie, I want them all. I want them all. Starting next week, my services will no longer be available, the ones that are currently listed on my page. If you use the code Salem1111, so 1111, you can take, I'm sorry, Salem 111. You can take $111 off of the current intuitive guidance call, which is 2 sessions. But starting next week, those prices will no longer be available. So please take advantage this week if you want to get that sale, because it's going to be about $200 an hour in the future. And you'll see the changes next week. Okay. Oh my gosh, no way. Okay, so for the masculine energy, we are getting apples in reverse, and I think that's so significant because I'm pretty sure that's Snow White's stepmother, and there's the whole apple thing going on in that card. So I just think it's really interesting to see it again. It is number 4, which is the energy here of the 4 of Wands, and this is the advice for the masculine energy for this year going forward. The keywords are deception, mistrust, and rotten. And the advice for this says, don't be a rotten apple. When this card is reversed, it is telling you to be mindful of how you direct your energy toward others. Often someone will attack another out of jealousy and fear, or you may be lashing out at someone for something that has nothing to do with them. But throwing someone under the bus always brings negative karma onto yourself tenfold. Evil never wins, and neither will you if you attempt to harm someone so that you can get ahead. Know that you can still achieve your dreams without stepping on others. Also know that directing your emotions towards others will not solve your problems. So this is a lesson for this year. If you've had issues with jealousy, if you've had issues in the past, I know a lot of people listen to a lot of karmic readings about the quote unquote karmic, which is just, I don't even use that terminology. But there is a tendency to like externalize a lot of the suffering that you experience. And this year is very much about understanding that the energy we receive from others is always a projection of what's going on within inside of themselves, and it aligns very well with our own energy within ourselves. So, when my mom says something that's aggressive or diminishing to me, I know that while she's projecting her own fears onto me, if it's hooking me, it is aligning with some kind of doubt I have about myself. And the way through those experiences is to assess how my own inner self-talk is being kind of pushed back at me, and finding a way to encourage myself or uplift myself with my own talk rather than trying to fix, something that's I perceive as being quote unquote wrong with the way my mom is handling her energy. So this is a year where I think the lessons, the wisdom that you gained last year, you're going to be able to put it into action. I also think that there could be the tendency for, as you are, moving on from a partnership, there is sometimes the desire to like feed the fire of anger or resentment towards that other person, and really resisting that and just leaning into a loving energy. Going your own way in a loving way is going to serve you much better. There's another image of somebody in the woods. And I really think that this is a significant theme for this next year of finding your way through the woods, being in that enchanted forest and feeling alone, and really turning to wolf spirit, panther spirit, the energy within you, the strength within you, to change the way you are, I think, feeling or seeing your environment is something that's really coming up for me there. And then another image with like woods. We have All Hallows Eve, which literally this reading is I can't think. This reading is actually about All Hallows Eve, so it's just kind of crazy that this card is coming out. And the keywords are emotion and summoning. The last card said, to taste one must swallow it whole, and beneath the satin flame hides drowning waters. That was the riddle that was on the last card. This card is, call upon the voices that stirs your senses through the night. Cast an unforgiven howl as you stomp your might through the ground. Samhain, Halloween, Feast of Apples, which we also saw those apples come out. November's Eve, Hallowmass, Shadowfest, All Hallows Eve all mean different things to different cultures, but have the same intention: a day to honor those who have passed on, as well as celebrating the passing of summer and the coming of winter. On this night, the veil between our world and the next is at its thinnest. Spirits are given a chance to pass over to find their resting place, and loved ones who have passed can visit. We can take advantage of this magical time by harnessing the open energy from the spiritual realms. Communications with spirits and guides are more natural than any other night of the year. It is a beautiful time to deepen a psychic practice, or start a new one, or to call on the help of the powers that be. Working magic on this night is likely to lead to success even if you've never worked a spell before. If you have pulled All Hallows Eve, you are being called to summon your inner magic. The spiritual realm is smiling on you and is waiting to be made use of. Some additional ways to use this energy is to create a Samhain altar that stays throughout the year, or working with one of the correspondences of Samhain. Additionally, you might try working with more profound, darker energies, such as crone energy, or a dark goddess such as Hecate or Morrigan. Calling on a deity regularly will help you develop the ability to summon power at will. So I feel like tapping into your deep feminine power this year is also very significant, and making use of the energy of All Hallows Eve in the next few days will be incredibly useful to you this year. So start projecting your image of what you want this next year to be, and send it out with those intentions that night, and you will see amazing things happen. It is a very powerful energy that permeates that evening. So thank you so much. I hope this reading has helped you. I have no idea what my schedule is going to be like for readings. I have a new work schedule that's going to be, I'll be doing readings Sunday through Wednesdays. And as far as I know, that is the only planned days I have for private readings, and you will be able to access them through my site, which will take you to a different site in the coming weeks. But I am not sure exactly if I'm going to be doing a love reading or a general energy reading. I really don't know. So stay tuned for that as I go forward and kind of find my way through the enchanted forest. But take care, everybody. I hope that you are all well and that you have a beautiful new year.